2024 is nearly upon us, and with that brings a whole new crop of indie games. I hope you have been watching my videos previewing upcoming games sorted by genre, with January traditionally having a slow start due to the holidays, but as always, indie developers do not disappoint, so let's begin with Turnip Boy Robs a Bank, the sequel to Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion, in which the adorable looking but is actually a hardened criminal main protagonist is planning and executing a big heist. It's weird and quirky and is on the funny end of things, being a light-hearted way to kick off the year. This was just announced 6 days ago, in which Crystal's story Dawn of Dusk finally has a release date as well, with this throwback 16-bit action-adventure game finally releasing after many years. Set in a world of parallel dimensions, you play as an adventurer from the Dawn side who must travel to the Dusk side in order to find her long-lost brother who was kidnapped by a demon, having to fight your way through the world in order to do so. I love the throwback look of this game, where in addition to the 2D Zelda-style combat, there are mini-games and additional elements to shake things up. Although notably, this is not a turn-based RPG, but an action title instead. Still, the Earthbound vibes are undeniable, with hopefully a story to match, where this is supposed to be the first entry in the Crystal story series, which I hope is great. Canadian developer Mana Void Entertainment has had quite an interesting catalogue of games, where I myself have some history with the developer, having first covered their monster taming adventure game Rainbow Billy and the Curse of the Leviathan way back when, even before its Kickstarter campaign, with their recently released chess plus fighting game Checkmate Showdown being of interest as well, and their next title is Roots of Yggdrasil, a Norse mythology-themed roguelite survival city builder that looks kind of neat. It is set in a post-Ragnarok time period, so essentially the post-apocalypse, in which you're attempting to build and expand to reach the top of the world tree Yggdrasil, having an interesting cel-shaded look and hopefully gameplay systems to match. One of the most anticipated pixel art action platformers launches in January as well in Anomaly Agent, a time-bending cyberpunk title that looks kind of awesome. You play as a special agent who has to hunt down anomalies who are threatening the fabric of the world, having great looking fluid combat since you have a bunch of options at your disposal, from punches and kicks, melee weapons like a sword, and even firearms, looking pretty slick as well, although I am curious about the structure of the game and how linear it is.
Factions, empires, gods. They rise and they fall. The actions of individuals set the course of history, and you are one of them.
Unforetold Witchstone is an interesting CRPG title set in a fantasy world torn apart by war, in which you find yourself displaced and have now arrived in new uncharted lands. It looks like an ambitious party-based title with turn-based combat, having a system that draws upon tabletop RPGs, and interestingly, the world was designed by Ed Greenwood, who is the creator of the Forgotten Realms, so the pedigree certainly is there. There will be factions to ally with, party members to recruit, narrative choices to make, deep customization of your characters and more, looking like a high-potential game. Developer Red Codex only makes one type of game in the turn-based tactical RPG, with their latest being the awesome-looking Kingsvein. This appears to be a much more tightened-up version of their games, in which you ride into the infested castle city of Kingsvein on your wyvern and lead your party of characters to do battle with the enemies within, in hopes of reclaiming the city. The singular location differs from the much more open structure of their previous game, Horizon's Gate from 2020, but some constraints could be interesting, and if you're a tactics game fan, you owe it to yourself to check their games out. There are a number of promising CRPGs for the month, with Sovereign Syndicate looking to be another standout title. set in the Victorian steampunk London but with a fantasy twist where society's most unfortunate are going missing and the evidence points towards a cult that is responsible. Investigate this mystery, with the game having a unique 3-protagonist setup and a Minotaur magician, a Corsair and an automaton, with the focus being on detective work and narrative, looking kind of like Disco Elysium, with the fate of the game hanging on the quality of the writing. Action roguelites are a dime a dozen, but here's an interesting title in Go Mecha Ball, a fast-paced title with the gimmick being that your mech is able to roll up into a ball, which then allows you to move faster, avoiding enemy attacks or launching yourself up the surfaces in the level, and looks very fun. The vibrant, cartoony world looks good as well, and with more than 50 upgrades available, should provide plenty of replayability. This next title is quite the curiosity, since I've covered this in my video on upcoming farming games of 2024, in which Eastward Octopia is a spin-off of the 2D Zelda-style action-adventure game Eastward from 2021, but is not a standalone product, instead being a paid DLC to the base game. Don't get me wrong, I love my farming sims and this looks awesome, but to attach it to the base product seems like it will be limiting its potential audience, since if you're not interested in the base game and just want to play the farming part, then you need to purchase both, where I've not seen a release quite like this. Still, the gorgeous pixel art style of this developer returns, set in an alternate timeline as compared to the events of the main game, and looks great as well. Perhaps the first big indie game release of the year is Momodora Moonlit Farewell, the 5th and final entry in the Momodora franchise, with the games having some similar themes and ideas across entries, but you don't need to have played the other games. It's a gorgeous pixel art Metroidvania with challenging combat, and did rank among my most anticipated Metroidvanias of the year, which you can find in this video.